Ukamaka, Ukamaka, where are you going to? Give me something, Bikonu. How many days now? What is it, Kwano? Did I not pay your bride price in full? Ekperamaka shouted, looking very upset. Ekperamaka, leave me, oh. Leave me, oh. Have I not told you before that the doctor said that it is not good for a pregnant woman to meet with her husband while she is pregnant? If not, the baby may end up becoming an olodo. He will not be intelligent. Do you want your son to be olodo? Bikonu, have self-control. Ogini. Ukamaka replied back angrily. Many years ago, in the beautiful village of Eziuku, where most of the men were farmers or fishermen, and the women were weavers and hairdressers. Eziuku was a village where everyone knew everyone. It was a small community. The young wives would usually gather after they had cooked for their husbands at one of their huts and discuss everything under the sun, while they wait patiently for their husbands to return back from the farm or from the stream. However, one day, a fine, handsome young man who was a medical doctor and whose name was Dr. Inyene was posted to their village maternity center for his NYSC. When he came to the village, all the beautiful single ladies were all over him, throwing themselves at him. Some would even come very early to fetch water for him, while others would bring in cooked food for him, and others would even come to clean his house and even wash his clothes. Dr. Inyene knew very well that all the maidens wanted a taste of him because he was good looking and because he was a medical doctor and seemed like he had a lot of potentials. But Dr. Inyene never paid any attention to all his admirers. Instead, he focused on his job. He went to the clinic every day, attending to patients and working very hard. The community was so happy that they now had a medical doctor in their clinic. Before now, their clinic was simply run by the nurses who had not even learned nursing at a nursing school or university, but who had attached themselves to a nurse from neighboring town. So most times, when any of the villagers had serious medical emergencies that their traditional healers and quack and untrained nurses could not handle, they had to go all the way to the neighboring town of Amasi to seek medical help. So Dr. Inyene was treated with so much respect and treated like a king so that he would not leave their community. So most pregnant women began to go to the clinic for antenatal. However, some men whose wives were pregnant began to notice subtle changes in their wives. Ekperamaka, for instance, realized that his wife Ukamaka no longer allowed him to touch her at night. Each night he wanted to meet with her, Ukamaka would refuse him and say, Biko, Biko, leave me, Biko, I'm not in the mood for all this now. Besides, don't you know that you might hurt the baby? Ukamaka will say, squeezing her face. And then her husband, Ekperamaka, who was fondly called Ekpere, would reply angrily and say, what is not good for our baby? Are you a first-time mom? We have had 3 children and we were both very active till the day you gave birth. And yet, nothing happened to any of our 3 children. So why is it now that it is suddenly wrong to meet with my wife while she is pregnant? Ekperamaka asked, fuming in anger. Well, if you must know, the times are changing. And the new doctor says that in this 21st century, it is wrong for pregnant women to sleep with their husbands while pregnant. If not, you might just hit our unborn baby on the head, and the baby might become an imbecile. Me, I cannot risk the life of my unborn child though, for just few minutes of pleasure. Bikokwa, exercise self-control. At least for the sake of your unborn child. Ukamaka snapped back angrily at her husband. Ukamaka, 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 how many times did I call you? Why are you so gullible? Even if you are not a graduate or a doctor or educated? Don't you have common sense? Have you not had 3 children already? Did anything happen to them? Eh? Ekpere asked, already vibrating in anger. But Ukamaka wouldn't budge. Her doctor said sleeping with her husband while pregnant was not safe. And so she was not going to meet with her husband, and that was final. There was nothing Ekpere would say that would change her mind about it. Soon enough, it was not just Ukamaka alone that was refusing her husband. Other pregnant women as well had also started refusing their husbands. Ijeoma, who was barely 3 months pregnant, no longer allowed her husband Ekene to touch her. Neither did Chisom, who just found out that she was pregnant and was not even up to 1 month pregnant, also did not allow her husband, Mbadiwe, 10 inches close to her. These men were getting frustrated. So one day, they sat over drinks and Ekene said, I don't know what is wrong with my wife. Can you imagine that this woman has not allowed me to touch her in the past 2 months? She said that the new doctor, Dr. Inyene, said that I might hurt the baby. Can you imagine the madness? Biko, am I that long that I would enter and touch the baby? Hey, Jesus. Ekene said, already fuming with anger, at least your own is better. Your wife is a first-time mother. And most times, first-time mothers are very protective of their unborn children. But please tell me, what is my wife's excuse? We already have 3 children and nothing is wrong with any of them. They are very smart and hardworking and healthy. Yet, my wife is telling me that if I meet with her while she's pregnant, that the baby will come out deformed or sick. Can you imagine? Ekene said, looking very disappointed. This Dr. Inyene, he must leave this village. He must go. I don't even know where he got his own degree from. Busy teaching our wives. Nonsense. Ekene interjected angrily. You people should calm down, no. Calm down. If you threaten this doctor and he leaves our village, don't you know that you will be in serious trouble? Do you know how long our community has prayed for a medical doctor, yet we did not get anyone? Biko, you guys should calm down. I'm also in the same situation as you both. But I know that if we make a fuss about it and this doctor leaves our community, the whole town would literally hate us and would ostracize us because this doctor has really helped our children, our sick people in this village. Mbadiwe said sadly. So in the days that followed, most men whose wives were pregnant just resigned to their fate. All their wives were insistent on not meeting with their husbands while pregnant. But soon enough, Ekpere began to notice again that anytime his wife Ukamaka was going to the hospital for her antenatal appointment, she took extra care in dressing up and looking very beautiful. He had noticed it for a while now, but didn't think too much about it. He saw that Ukamaka was always excited and giddy to go for her antenatal appointment. He also noticed that she went up to 3 times in 1 week for antenatal appointment. Ekpere wondered what could possibly be wrong with the baby, that she had to go 3 whole times in just 1 week. But yet again, he decided not to make a fuss about it. After all, it was said that the doctor had asked them to come. Meanwhile, each time these women went to the hospital, Dr. Inyene would attend to them in his consulting room, which was a few blocks away from the waiting room, and would always warn the nurses that no one should interrupt or come knocking at his door, no matter the emergency, while he was attending to his patients. And then he would lock the door behind him. So it would just be him and his pregnant patient in the consulting room. But unknown to some, that there was another bedroom attached to the consulting room. And so, Dr. Inyene would ask his patient to lie on the bed so that he could examine them. And before they knew what was happening, he would start touching them inappropriately and end up sleeping with them. And the funny thing was that all these pregnant women who would not allow their own husbands sleep with them, enjoyed sleeping with Dr. Inyene. Dr. Inyene never forced any of them. He just had a way with words and made each of them feel very special. It was as though they were spellbound when they were in his presence. And he also satisfied them in ways that their husbands had never done, even before they got pregnant. He also brainwashed them into keeping themselves exclusively for him. And so that was why many of them had lied to their husband and refused to meet with them on the premise that it would hurt their unborn child. So every day, at least 15 pregnant women would troop out of Dr. Inyene's office one after the other with a big smile plastered on their faces. Dr. Inyene was never tired. And most times, all these pregnant women would return home in clusters, all giddy and excited, and talking in low tones about the amazing time they had just had with the doctor. And things continued like this for a while. Meanwhile, young ladies were still throwing themselves at Dr. Inyene, yet he had zero interest in them. However, as some of these pregnant women began to give birth, they realized that Dr. Inyene was no longer interested in them anymore. When Ukamaka had her child, she would take her child to the hospital, pretending that the child was sick, just so she could see the doctor and they could sleep together. But Ukamaka got the shock of her life when Dr. Inyene would simply treat the child and ask her to leave while feeling very disgusted. "Ah, doctor, it's me, it's Ukamaka. Don't you remember me? You were busy having your way with me while I was pregnant. And now you are affirming that you cannot remember me. Me, I've missed you, doc. I have missed you." Ukamaka said, sounding desperate, "Madam, please, I do not want to disrespect you. Please kindly take your child and get out of my office." Dr. Inyene screamed at her angrily. "Oh, so I'm now madam, no more UK baby, Abi? So you think you can use and dump me just like that? You are a joker." Ukamaka replied, screaming at the top of her lungs. And it became a trend that once any pregnant woman gives birth, that Dr. Inyene would lose all form of interest in these women. Dr. Inyene was a strange man. He liked only pregnant women. A few months later, Chisom and Ijeoma had also given birth and yet again had been cast out by Dr. Inyene. These women had become miserable. There was something that sleeping with Dr. Inyene had done to them, but they could not explain it. Their husbands could no longer satisfy them. Ukamaka could not take it any longer, so even though her baby was barely 7 months, she got pregnant again so that she could get back to Dr. Inyene's consulting bed. It was crazy. All the pregnant women were giving birth and getting pregnant back to back, just so they could go back to Dr. Inyene's bed. And a few months later, the news had leaked about Dr. Inyene's preference for pregnant women. And some single ladies who had no husbands and who had been throwing themselves at the doctor but was ignored, deceived their boyfriends and got pregnant for them, just so they could be pregnant and they could have a taste of Dr. Inyene. Dr. Inyene's 1-year NYSC had come to an end, but he chose to remain back in Eziuku village because he was having a time of his life. He was treated like a king. Soon, almost every young woman in Eziuku was pregnant, be it single or married. There was a pandemic, but this time it was not a disease. It was pregnancy. However, soon the men began to get worried. Their wives were giving birth and getting pregnant almost immediately, like chickens. And soon, Ekpere and some other men began to investigate. And alas, they found out that the new doctor was sleeping with their wives. This made the men very livid. I knew it, that there was something off about this doctor. Did I not speak to you about it, Ekene? But then, what did Mbadiwe say? He told us to keep quiet and shouldn't make a fuss about it else we may chase the doctor away from our village. Now look at my own Ukamaka. Hey, Ukamaka Egbuolam, this girl has killed me. All this while, I'll be begging this young woman to let me meet with her, but she would not agree. Yet, see her want me the bed of a boy that I am way older than just because he's a doctor. Ekpere screamed angrily. But wait though, are you sure that this man did not use jazz to hold our women? How can all our wives, all our pregnant wives, fall for such deceit? Is that not madness? Chinedu said angrily, we have talked enough, Biko. Enough of the talking. What we need to do now is action. Let us head over to that clinic and deal with that small boy. He will regret why he ever stepped his feet into this village in the first place. Ekpere said as he led the men who were carrying knives and sticks to the clinic. Upon getting to the clinic, Ekpere shouted, "Where is that mad doctor who dare comes to our village and sleep with our pregnant wives? Inyene, Inyene, if you're a man, come outside. Show your face here." Ekpere screamed angrily. And then Inyene came out boldly and confidently, without an atom of remorse on his face. He was even still smiling on top of it. And immediately Ekpere charged at him with a stick. Inyene disappeared right before their eyes. And immediately the men scattered and began to scream, "Ewo, Ewo, this doctor is a ghost, oh, he's a dead man, oh, Wala, oh, so a dead man has been sleeping with our wives." The men screamed as they scattered in different directions. In the days that followed, the news had gone viral that the doctor was a ghost. All the women who had slept with the doctor, which was more than half of the women in the village, were so ashamed of themselves and scared at what the repercussion would be and what their husbands would do to them. In almost every home in that village, there was constant quarrels between the husbands and the wife. The husbands were busy screaming and shouting at their wives who had slept with a dead man. Some weeks after the chaos had died down, some men headed by Ekpere went to make inquiries at their NYSC State Secretariat to lodge a complaint and tell them about all that had happened in their village. But upon getting there, they got the shock of their life. Apparently, their village was not the first place where that had happened. The NYC official told Ekpere and the other men that were with him that this had happened in 5 other villages before them. Apparently, the story was that Inyene had been posted to serve in a rural community for his NYSC some 8 years back and fell in love with the only daughter of the king of that village and also got her pregnant. And when the king heard about it, he was very furious and angry because his daughter was already betrothed to the king of another powerful kingdom. And when this king of that powerful kingdom learned that his betrothed wife was pregnant for another man, he was furious and demanded for the head of the man who had gotten his betrothed wife pregnant, and for 7 maidens, virgins who had never known a man and who were of royal blood as concubines, as a peace offering. And so, the Corper Dr. Inyene was beheaded and his head was sent on a platter to the king. The men were beyond shocked at what they just heard. The officials went on to tell them that they could not intervene and whisk Dr. Inyene out of the community because they did not hear on time, but that from that day onwards, they no longer sent corpers to serve in that particular village called Ngo, but that ever since the time that Dr. Inyene was killed, his spirit was not at rest. So he has been going from one remote village to the other, sleeping with only pregnant women. Ekpere was shocked. So when they went back to their village, he narrated all that the NYSC officials had told them to his people. And so they forgave their wives because they discovered that they were under a spell and called on their priests to cleanse all the women of their land. But from that day till date, the people of Eziukwu do not welcome male doctors in their village, only female doctors, for fear that Inyene may return one day and sleep with their wives again, since his spirit was not at rest and was wandering all about seeking justice. Hi besties, it's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha again. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. If you were one of the pregnant women that slept with this dead man, do you think you would ever be able to forgive yourself? Also, do you think there is a way Inyene can be stopped so his spirit stops moving from village to village and, keeps sleeping with pregnant women? Also, do you think there'll be repercussions for the children that were in the belly while he slept with their mothers? Please, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. Please also support your homegirl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye!